o'clock on the East Coast. It is 5 o'clock on the West Coast. It is the 4th of April in the year of our Lord 2024, season 14, episode 23, 658 times. You have been welcomed to the Clubhouse Podcast live. All right, I lost it because we're only live on certain places. But you could be live to tape, and it's cool. Every Thursday nights, we are your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, in pro wrestling. And like the title says, it's Reverse Order Week, and we'll talk why here in just a moment. That Way is the official fact checker of Sooner or Gator Productions, and a man who's probably sick of paint fumes. You may know him as Igbunu, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm going to call him Don Ford. Hey, man.
The whole thing will be done. But here's the thing. One big step is done. And here's the next thing. We are live right now while we're doing this.
At least I hope so.
Yeah, because we have to be live to doing this unless we're AI. Who knows?
Stranger things have happened.
Yes, it is.
Alex will be along shortly. He's running a little bit behind. But like I said, it is Reverse Order Week right here on the show because it is Wrestling New Year's Eve weekend. I don't have that on here. I don't have that sound effect. But that means it's WrestleMania weekend. So, in the spirit of that, hit the theme. That's right. The Cheap Podcast gets the opening salvo tonight because we don't know how long this is going to take. Normally, we would have a WrestleMania extravaganza. There would be celebrities, a red carpet. There would be millions and millions of the Robs fans around the world tuned in. However, I am actually booked this weekend. I will be in New Braunfels, Texas. So if you're down Austin way and you want to come hang out, I will be moderating panels at Hill Country Comic-Con. This will be a first for me. I'm very excited. I'm going to be spending some time with Reb Brown. Do you know who that is, Don?
Heard the name, trying to figure the face.
He is the original live-action 1970s Captain America.
Oh, okay.
Also, we'll be hanging out with DJ Lance Rock from Yo Gabba Gabba, spending some time with him. And I've got some other panels. I'm working with Matt Frank, who is one of the premier Godzilla artists on the planet right now. Some great people are going to be there. There's a big cast reunion from the voice cast of the Sonic the Hedgehog animated series. Tomorrow night, there's going to be a pre-party at a local drive-in for the live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Saturday night, there's going to be a huge post-party. It's going to be awesome. DJ Lance Rock is going to be doing a DJ set. I'll be hosting karaoke for about an hour and a half. We got some great benefits that we're going to be doing, a silent auction to benefit a local charity. Find out all about that, hillcountrycomiccon.com. And
where's that at, roughly?
New Braunfels.
New Braunfels, okay.
And then in 2 weeks, it is Dallas Comic Show right here in Lewisville, Texas. Very excited about that. I'll be a part of that as well. And a return guest to that show is one Sean Stasiak. So I'm looking forward to him again. Speaking of returning guests, there he is.
Better late than never.
No, we said that you were running a little bit behind, and that's okay. That Way is my co-host because Don now goes to the bottom of the screen, and a man who knows that it's Wrestling New Year's Eve weekend.
Well, I knew I had to make it in, if only for my annual shirt wear.
That's why.
Here's the thing: while you're busy this weekend, my mom and my sister are coming down on Sunday, so I'm going to miss the Sunday night show of WrestleMania because they're coming in for the Ellipse.
That'll be an eclipse, and you're not going to miss it. You're just not going to watch it live. Because I'm not going to watch Mania live because I'm going to have to wait till Monday because Sunday night I'll be driving home.
It'll be a total eclipse of my heart. Turn around, bright eye.
It's amazing how he can take something bad and make it worse. It's almost like he works for the government.
I do.
But
That's
as
the point,
I
Don.
said earlier, and let me reiterate, it's reverse order week because we have to get the Mania stuff done because
The fans want to know.
if we do the other stuff first, we're going to be here all night. So we're going to get to what we can. But I do want to say before we get started, as I was looking at certain things, anybody realize the Toronto Raptors are on a 15-game losing streak?
No.
No, I don't pay attention to the NBA.
And one other quick note before we did, Alex, did you see the note on the A's today?
The temporary stay over until 2028.
Yes,
Yes,
they
I
will,
did.
the next 3 seasons, the Oakland A's will be the
Sacramento.
playing
Yeah,
in a
they will be playing in a minor league park, which basically fits what they get to the games now.
at maximum capacity is about 14,000, and they're averaging 6. So they should be okay. All right, boys.
Yeah, out there.
Let's get into it. We've already played the theme song because the Cheap Popcast is on deck this evening. A couple of quick headlines before we dive into the company. Interesting moment last week on TNA Impact. They did what's called an 8-4-1 match. They're known for doing this. They don't do it very often. What this was an 8-woman tag match. The winner of the winning side then becomes a 4 corners match. Then the winner of that match becomes the number 1 contender for the Knockouts title. Winning that match and your current number 1 contender for Jordan Grace's Knockouts title at Rebellion is one Steph DeLander, the former Persia Parada in NXT, a surprise entrant with Matt Cardona, who we'll talk about here in just a little while. Wins that match. She gets the shot. I was very impressed by that. I'm like, what do I always say? If you can get me, hey, you take me off guard, take me off guard. So
what we've always said, we love surprises, but make them at least make sense. This does both.
As we did talk about, it is Mania weekend, and being Mania weekend, there's all sorts of stuff going around. If you are in the Philadelphia area, one of those things that GCW, I believe, puts on is the Indie Wrestling Hall of Fame. Here are your class of 2024 Indie Hall of Fame inductees. We have Sabu.
Yes.
We have Steve Corino.
Yes.
Super Kick. Nobody remembers that anymore. Trent Acid.
I remember that name. Yes.
Kevin Hogan. Mercedes Martinez.
Yes.
Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert,
Yes.
who was announced today, and the Briscoes.
Of course.
One moment, please. There's a call coming in, and I need to text on that.
Okay. Don, I didn't recognize the Kevin Hogan name. Are you familiar? What about Trent Acid?
No.
I want to say, if I remember correctly, Trent Acid actually passed not too terribly long ago, but was very well liked by the crew. But, with the Indie Hall of Fame, they definitely reach out. And to be perfectly honest, based on how they do that, I'm kind of surprised the Briscoes weren't already in. But then again, they may have been holding off because they didn't want the original Briscoes and then the Briscoe brothers and how that goes.
I was a little dismayed that they just said Eddie Gilbert and they didn't have Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, because I feel like you can't just say Eddie Gilbert. You got to say Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. It's like Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. You just have to say that.
Kevin Hogan, I think, is like a regular wrestler. Like, yeah, what?
Like a
an
local
amateur,
guy,
whatever
like-
you call it,
Okay.
college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big news from WWE and its parent company. Endeavor is no longer the actual parent company, as they have sold for about $7 billion to a private equity firm, Silver Lake, who is taking the company back private. Going to be interested to see how this goes.
So WWE was private, goes public now.
Well,
Yeah,
once they sold to Endeavor, I don't think that mattered, does it?
It became it rolled into TKO, and TKO is the publicly traded company. So what they're doing, if I'm understanding this correctly, Silver Lake has purchased the parent company to TKO, so give it 3 layers from WWE, and they are privatizing everything.
So if you've got WWE stock,
Get ready to get paid,
yeah.
or get grandfathered in. I'm not sure which.
June 15th has been announced. That is a Saturday, at least over here. I'm assuming it will be at that time for Clash at the Castle in Glasgow, Scotland. So I'm sure that'll be about a lunchtime thing.
They're 6 hours. They're 6 hours ahead.
We lost you a second, Don, on your audio, but you're good now. This announcement coming on April Fool's Day, I had to wait until it was more official, and then it became official on Tuesday. Your last announced inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame tomorrow night is one Lia Maivia. And I started to watch the video that Rock put up today, but I think they're going to play it tomorrow night. So I didn't want to watch it twice. I want to watch it when I'll watch it probably Monday, but unless I can get some time tomorrow night, I got to figure out what my schedule is. But it was just kind of him sitting at the graveside of his grandparents and kind of talking the whole thing. It's about a 4-minute video. It looks really great. It looked beautiful. Looking for it and way overdue in my personal opinion.
Well, there's a reason she was seen as big competition for the original WrestleMania. And if you go back to Young Rock, it touches on it just a little bit.
The lady that plays her, I love her.
Yes.
She's so good. And that whole cast is so good.
It really is.
Congratulations to Julius Creed. He got married last weekend.
Good for him.
Which is why you did not see them on Raw this week. Also, a big announcement.
Real fast. What was The Rock? That was canceled, wasn't it? The Young Rock?
Young Rock. Well, they're
Yes,
saying they are looking for a new home.
It was not been renewed by NBC. Their option is to go other places. Similar thing happened if you were a fan of the show Lucifer, which actually got canceled twice and brought back, wound up on Netflix. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if that winds up in a special section of Netflix eventually.
I was actually going to say the same thing. So
apologies.
No. I'm agreeing with you. There's no apology needed on that. You said exactly what I was thinking, and I'm here for it. Last week, we talked about a citizenship. This week, we have another one as Chelsea Green. It's her U.S. citizenship. And
I want to say she actually got rejected a couple of times in that scope, too.
In a very strange costume party celebration. I was looking at the outfits. I was like, I don't know what's going on right now.
It's me.
I don't think we're going to talk about the other thing that happened with her this week on air.
Her getting rejected, trust me. You know, I believe it. I believe it.
That's all right.
Her becoming a citizen today, congratulations to her. It is.
It was actually last week. It was right after we went off the air last week. It got announced. So.
Yeah.
All right, boys, let's get into it because it is. Oh, I should probably do it this way. Wrestling New Year's Eve weekend. If you know anything about this show, you know that WrestleMania is one of my favorite things. If you follow me on social media, this whole week I've been posting some of my favorite WrestleMania moments, most of which were 2 years ago. Obviously, there's one to go, and it's a moment on Monday Night Raw, but I have to pass it through Alex first.
Okay.
Because I know you were bummed about the picture itself, and I didn't want to repost it if you didn't want me to.
I don't remember being bummed, so feel free.
It's because when the camera went to us, you had your phone in front of your face.
Oh, that one. It wasn't the only time we were on TV. It just happened to be the clearest time.
Yes, the only one that anybody sent me.
Wrexham.
I loved that. Was a 5-day span that I could have slept for 3 days after, but I would have done it all again. If you've never done WrestleMania, every member of this show has been involved in at least one Mania weekend. So I think I can speak for all three of us when I say it is an experience that is unlike anything else on the planet. It's almost like global siblinghood when you go to these things. Like when we were standing outside the stadium, just talking to people that had come from everywhere and about their experiences. And I told Alex that if you have a travel package for Philly, I'm very angry with you because you won't have to miss the end of Stand and Deliver like we did because it's right next door to the stadium. So let's get into it. Stand and Deliver is Saturday morning at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern. So it'll be noon here. So 10 a.m. on the West Coast. It's going to be morning somewhere. We're going to run the card real quick. There wasn't much to NXT this week, except, because your go-home show is your infomercial for the show, and you expect that going in. I do these in order of importance, ? On the pre-show, you will have Shawn Spears versus Joe Gacy. Little bit of an injury scare for Gacy on Tuesday night. After the spot, he was checked out and fine. I do want to say Ava as the GM is starting to grow on me, because when JC Jane's cutting the promo and at the end, Ava just goes, "Move along. Live TV. Let's go." It was like, okay, she got me there.
That was a great moment. The problem is she's still terrible, and I hate saying that.
I guess she's grown on me. I think she's improving. But I don't see Gacy winning this match. He got the best of Shawn Spears the last time they got together. We've got to get Spears going, because I think you're going to get him in some form of a title picture quickly. I would not be surprised if they put him in the North American title, but we are also running out of people to vie for that world title.
Yeah, Gacy at this point is literally, he might as well just change his last name to Horowitz. Sure, he's going to put on a good match and do his best, but he's here to job.
Don, what do you think?
See, and I looked at him like I did Cameron Grimes, but it's kind of now versus when I really saw something cool with it. Spears, much as I hate it.
Right. Let's see here. Next up, 6-woman tag match: Thea Hale, Fallon Henley, and Kalani Jordan versus JC Jane, Kiana James, and Izzy Dame. Why are we putting these three people whose last names are that close to each other on the same team? It's gonna drive me crazy. Gentlemen, I'm gonna let you talk about this. I have a voicemail I need to check, and I will be right back.
Okay.
If I may on this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's one of those, we're throwing a bunch of people at it, and I've noticed this on both the Mania cards and the NXT cards, where we're just throwing a bunch of people so they have something to do this weekend. Now, this one feels so throwaway to me. I can't even. Now, without spoiling your pick, Don, how do you feel about them kind of setting this up where it's like, oh, people don't like each other and that's all we got?
I think they're having trouble in the back trying to book this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get how do we get a man and make it look halfway reasonable? And they're trying to make lemonade out of lemons, but the lemons aren't that great. So the lemonade with all the sugar in the world, it's not going to be the best lemonade like Country Time. So I think that's how it's turning out on this one. I'm going to pick the team with Jordan.
Country Time intentional? I just want to know, because there is a
Country Time lemonade. That's the bar for me.
No. But what I'm saying is you have,
Yeah, I know.
Fallon Henley playing Country Hottie.
Yeah.
And you're using Country Time as the lemonade reference. I didn't know if I wanted to give you credit for a great pull there or if it was purely coincidental.
Coincidental, I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I enjoy lemonade.
Yeah. But to me, you have a face team that has one spare and a heel team that has two spares. So give it to the face team. They're either going to highlight Thea Hale or Fallon Henley, and whoever it is that gets highlighted is your next number one contender.
I've picked the team with Jordan. That's
the face team. Yeah.
I would agree there, but to Alex's point, that kind of depends on, in my opinion, it depends on who wins the women's match.
I don't know that it does, but I see where you're going with that, with the heel face dynamic.
In what could be the match that steals the card, but there's nothing on the line, but I think we all know where this is going. Carmelo Hayes versus Trick Williams. My personal opinion, and I've said this since New Year's Day, Trick goes over, Carmelo goes up. Put Trick back in the main title picture.
100% agree. I actually have a note on this that I would like to save as the hammer. Don, if you want to go ahead.
3-2. I think we all three think the same.
Yeah, we all have Trick, but there's another layer as to why.
Why is that?
Go ahead, please.
Trick Williams is a former NFL player who happened to play in Philadelphia.
No, we won't hold that against him.
Oh, it's not about holding it against them. It's the idea of sending them home happy in that scope.
Yeah.
Because one of the balancing act and a tease for later is I feel like they want to alternate their shows between feel good at the end, bad guys win, boo. Feel good at the end, bad guys win, boo, and going back and forth. And I feel like Stand and Deliver is the send the crowd home happy. Night 1 is bad guys boo. Night 2 is send them home happy. I feel like that's our pattern for the main events because Trick and Carmelo are the main event.
Be like, I think, you know how, like you're saying, remember in WrestleMania, the Battle Royal where William the Refrigerator Perry got thrown out and they're all, boo and all that. Then what's he do? He grabs Big John Studd, shake my shit, and then pulls him out so that makes him happy at the end. I can see that same kind of thing.
Haven't done this in a while.
Uh-oh.
North American Championship on the line in a triple threat match. Obafemi versus Dijak versus Josh Briggs. I can't believe I'm about to say this because I'm going to feel terrible for doing it. This has to lead the show. Just because if they had done like they've done the last couple of years with the ladder match, I would be intrigued. I am not intrigued by this match. I think this is just legitimizing Obafemi as your North American champion, which is why I believe Sean Spears goes into that program because then you have a Hoss fight.
Well, if we don't have Big E commenting on this over the weekend or talking about the big manly men slapping meat or the big meaty men slapping meat in this match, it's a waste. Now, I have long been the biggest supporter of Josh Briggs on this show, but this is stick it in the middle of the card, legitimize Obafemi over two big, very talented guys, but we still haven't talked about the match I think opens it, but this is an Obafemi crowning, so to speak, even further.
Don.
Same thing in the end.
There's something about the mic that you're using. Like we're losing like the first 2 seconds of everything you said.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just picking up because mine does it periodically, but I'm usually so far behind you don't notice.
Also fair. Let's see here. Oh, another thing from NXT this week. Tuesday Night Heat.
Yeah.
With Tyler Breeze?
I think that's just more the Xavier Woods being the let's use the old stuff that we grew up with because that's kind of what he does.
You know what I always think about when they talk about Heat from Sunday Night Heat was Stevie Richards.
Empty Arena? Oh, no. Okay.
GM of Stevie Night Heat. That always brought me joy.
And the one I always think of was the Empty Arena title match.
Oh, well, yeah, that was Super Bowl halftime, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah. And that was Rock and Mankind and somebody getting pinned with a forklift.
Yep.
And then don't forget about them throwing the cotton candy at each other. And oh my God, I got hit with cotton candy.
It's sugar getting your eyes, bro. Shout outs to Stevie Richards. Last I knew, he was actually doing well on the mend.
Yes, he is.
So let's see here. NXT Tag Team Championships on the line. The Wolf Dogs taking on Nathan Frazier and Axiom. These belts move.
Okay, I thought that was going to be a surprise because I think they move, but I think it's because of, I don't want to say shenanigans per se, but I feel like there's an outside influence because Breaker and Corbin are so much better than we ever anticipated.
You're not wrong.
That they are blue whales in a small pond right now with those tag titles.
You are not wrong. Don.
And sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The Wolfgang. I think Wolf wins this one.
I like the Wolfgang better.
Yeah.
Well, wait, here's the problem. That's Gallus.
That's true. But Alex, you had something else you wanted to add?
I think this 100% opens the show. Okay.
That's fair. Just because, I mean, that vignette they did for Breaker on SmackDown was a tad much. It's a tad much.
But I think the idea is you start hot. It's the cruiserweight effect that Nitro created. and Fraser and Axiom just flying all over the place or getting thrown 100 miles by Breaker and Corbin.
NXT Women's Championship on the line. Taya Valkyria, Roxanne Perez.
Lyra.
I always get that wrong. But I do like her a lot. I liked her when her name was even harder to say in NXT UK.
Mm-hmm.
I do not believe this belt moves because I think Roxanne's moving up. There's been a lot of talk that people are very, very impressed with this version of her. I would not be surprised if she moves up if this is her swan song to NXT.
Tyra wins.
Lyra.
Well, it was cutting it. He may have said it, but it was Mike. Yeah, Lyra.
Lyra.
Oh no, and I co-sign exactly what Rob said. I think Lyra wins. I think Roxanne moves up. I'm just more curious what they do with her because we are all big fans. But I can't shake the idea that she might wind up as a new member of Damage Control, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Well, they lost Bailey.
NXT Championship on the line. Ilya Dragunov takes on Tony D'Angelo. What I was reading earlier this week is that there's no real discussion on Ilya moving up. That does not change my prediction. It is Tony D'Angelo's time. Put this belt on that. Give that man his title.
I see what you tried to do there, Teddy KGB. But I agree. But the interesting thing is I'm reading something contradictory to what you just said. That there is a lot of hype, pomp, and circumstance that Ilya is in the same vein to the booking committee on Raw as Gunther was. So what the kind of anticipation without spoiling anything, and I'll tell you what, if you don't want to hear anything that could be spoiler, I will give you the break, Rob.
Oh, I gotta find the thing. I was not prepared. The buttons have all moved around. Just go.
Well, I think we've given it enough time. So the rumor at this point is Ilya loses the title to Tony D'Angelo. Ilya comes up and fills in the singles void as Gunther moves up to the world title level, and Ilya is your next contender for the IC belt against a new champion.
I see where you're coming from. I personally don't see that happening until after a draft because I think you have the return match that solidifies Tony as champion because if that match is as good as I think it will be, it will warrant a rematch.
Very true. But everything I saw said that they have Ilya on the level of Gunther, and he will be immediately into a title once he's up.
Oh, I'm not shocked because we've said it 1,000 times. We'll say it 1,000 more. If you want to see a wrestling match, watch Walter back then versus Ilya Dragunov for the NXT UK title. One of the best matches in the last decade, and I stand by it. Don.
Tony wins this one.
I feel like it's been a clean sweep on all of these for all of us.
Most of the stuff, yeah.
Let's get into Saturday night. Mania Night 1. Remember, it's a 2-hour pre-show that starts at 5 o'clock Eastern, both nights. And there's no matches scheduled for the pre-show. So you got that going for you, which is nice. Night 1. Brother versus brother only for the second time in WrestleMania history. Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso. I feel like Jimmy is getting lost in the shuffle. I feel like Solo gets involved, but it won't matter because right now Jey Uso's on a rocket ship to the moon.
I co-sign that just because, and we've said this for a long time, Jimmy is very funny. He's very good on the mic. Jey is the better wrestler. And I feel like this gives us our first view of cracks in the armor for the bloodline, where Jimmy starts to question his position. And maybe he we get the Usos back, and that's the only thing that stops Jay's meteoric yeet rise.
Don.
I think Jay wins this one because he has just that wave right now, I think.
Mhm.
And, you know,
Now,
because when you get one of your heroes, Pat McAfee, if he gets up and dances on the thing, that means that he's doing something right. You know what I'm saying? So Jay has a big build. For him to lose this, no. I could see something that might get nasty after the fact. I could see that, though.
let me pose this to you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Do we have the purest definition of shenanigans, perhaps with someone waiting in the wings who is no longer with New Japan?
I don't think so. I don't think so in that scope, just because, with all due respect, you know my love for Tama.
Mhm.
I don't know that moves the needle for people at Mania. I think there's too many, and I don't mean this as an insult, so anybody that's watching, please do not take it this way. I feel like there's too many casual fans for Tama to really pop that kind of a large crowd. Tama coming out on either the Raw or SmackDown after Mania makes more sense to me.
Okay, that's fair. All right. Tag team action. The Latino World Order, Rey Mysterio, and their newest member, Dragon Lee, take on Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Sure.
This is filler. It's flippy doodle. I think it's Dom. I think it's going to be Dom's team, but I feel like that's because of an Andrade involvement potentially. I don't care about this match, and I don't feel good about that.
I will say your Andrade.
Who won between Ray and Dominic at the last WrestleMania when they took on each other?
Right.
Then I see Dom winning this one.
Well,
The only thing I would say about your Andrade thing is that's going to depend on what happens tomorrow night.
that's fair.
You could have an Andrade turn tomorrow night, acting like he's working for them and then goes into business for himself.
Well, there's another layer to this where if you want to do the wrestling logic, it doesn't necessarily apply. But did you gentlemen watch WWE Speed?
I did not. And I saw no reports. Like 411 Mania, big fan. Love you guys. Been a fan for decades. They had no speed report today. I was shocked.
Okay, so we know there's a 3-minute time limit.
Correct.
There is a tournament to crown your WWE Speed champion. Welcome to the Cruiserweights. And Dragon Lee did the job in round 1 to Ricochet, but Dragon Lee got jobbed out, so don't be surprised if that becomes a trend.
Did they show the belt at all? Because I know there's going to be a championship.
They haven't even shown the full bracket. It was a whole lot of question marks.
Okay, fair enough. Let's see. 6-woman tag match. Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi versus Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. I'm just gonna say the faces win this just because Jade Cargill's first WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see her being on a team that jobs unless you're going to do a monster heel push with her turning on the other two.
You know what? That's a great way to put that, but I feel like this is the Jade show, and it's more likely to drive Bianca to turning because it is the Jade show, but they still win.
Why didn't they put the tag titles on the line and instead of doing the 6-man?
I think, okay, that's a great question, Don, and I believe we alluded to that in another venue, but it may not have been on air. I think they're still concerned with Asuka's knee because of how it was a non-contact injury when they had the beatdown a few weeks ago, and she really went down in a heap and could not put weight on it. I think that if they were 100% confident that she could go, it would be at least in consideration to do a tag title match. I think this is protecting her.
Shout out to Russ. How you doing, brother?
I think that the heels are going to win out, unless like that thing of the heel turn. There's no way Jade's going to lose.
In my favorite match of night 1, and it wasn't that status until Monday night when I called Alex and giggled like a child. The 6-pack challenge for the undisputed WWE tag team titles in a ladder match. In a passing mention on Monday night that did not go unnoticed, Michael Cole. Michael Cole said something very interesting when he said both sets of titles will be hung above the ring and the match does not finish until both sets of titles have been claimed. So, does this mean we get the belt split back up?
Hopefully.
No.
No.
I'll tell you why. Because I think what's going to happen is one team will get one belt, but you have to have both belts. And so let's say one team gets the first belt, another team gets a second belt, then those teams fight each other to get both belts. It'd be kind of one of those, technical rules.
Allegedly, they've already nullified that, Don, because there is reports that one set of belts goes up, the match happens, another set of belts is up.
Oh, so they're not up at the same time.
That's what the rumor has been based on certain statements that have been said, is that once a set is claimed, the other set is on the line. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have like a staggered, the first set of belts claimed, and then the other one lowers into position. Or one's just way higher up than the other, and we wind up with a ridiculously sized ladder.
Ross wants to send a shout out to the Pocket Sandwich Theater in downtown Carrollton. They used to be down by the Angelica, but I've heard good things. So,
for me, I literally think this is one of your feel-good moments of Mania, and one set of belts goes to the New Day, who finally win at Mania, and the other one goes to Awesome Truth, who finally get a tag title.
I never gave the participants.
There's 6 teams. We know what's going on.
DIY, Awesome Truth, New Day, A-Town Down Under, and New Catch Republic. Don, what you got?
I think with R-Truth and how he's starting to get a push again versus like maybe 2 years ago or after the 24/7 championship ended, and he's moving up. I think he'll win the titles. Awesome Truth.
You think they get both sets?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go a completely different way. And I
go
just
for it.
thought of this 20 seconds ago. Judgment Day gets the first set. Awesome Truth gets the second set. Damian Priest cashes in. Now they have all the belts again.
Oh, no likey at all.
I didn't say I liked it.
Yeah.
Just saying it just hit my brain, and it would make sense in the realm of wrestling logic. Because remember, when Otis had it, we were convinced he was going to cash it in for the tag titles. It's in your head now, isn't it?
I don't like it. Well, here's the problem. We're going to talk about another match later on that flies in the face of that prediction, and I don't like yours.
You got to like it. You better learn to love it, because it's the best thing going today.
No, it ain't.
Intercontinental Championship on the line. Gunther takes on Sami Zayn. This belt moves, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I don't think any of us disagree with that, Don.
Still wish it was Chad Gable.
But I see some kind of shenanigans with Gable. I still think Gunther keeps it. I'm going to be daring on this one.
That is a daring call. I cannot see a situation after the Rocky vignettes that popped me so hard I had to change shorts.
I was not going to ruin that for you. I wanted you to see
that made me so happy. so I was looking up scenes from Rocky 3 just to text to Sean because of how much I loved it.
I want you to piss lightning and I want you to crap thunder. That's all I wanted.
But the problem is they're sticking to Rocky 3 where Gable is Creed, and unfortunately, Mickey's not with us at that point.
We love you, Burgess Meredith.
Yes. Oh, man.
Women's World Championship on the line. Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch. This is the most intriguing match of night one to me. My favorite match that I'm ranking up right now is still the ladder match, but this is the most intriguing match. Congratulations to Becky Lynch for becoming officially a New York Times best-selling author. My heart wants Becky to win this, but my head says it's better for business if Rhea retains.
May I add something to that?
Always.
I think it's a no doubt that Rhea wins, because if you go back through it, Rhea has been a part of 4 WrestleManias now. She is 2-2. If she has held the title, she has lost it. If she was challenging for a singles title, she won it. She has never had a situation where she gets to retain a title at Mania. And I feel like they understand that Rhea, with all due respect to the many, 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 many talented women on that roster, Rhea is on a different level than every female on the planet. And they know that.
You're
and
not
it's obvious. As much as people love Becky, she's going to be in there to make it look good when Rhea crushes her.
And she will, because Becky's that good too. Don,
do you disagree?
I do not see Rhea losing this. And again, Becky's a top tier. If she was to win, I don't think people would say, "What? Oh my God, Becky, you actually won." No, but I think Rhea wins, and I think that this really solidifies her when she beats a top tier, big time.
May I backtrack and pose a question to you, gentlemen?
Yeah,
please.
Do we have to have Rhea win and have the other members of the Judgment Day with a match lose, so there is that moment of Rhea just firing up in the clubhouse, we'll call it, because that's what they've called it, that I won my match, what happened to all of you, and just absolute scorched earth promo in the back.
I like the story they've been telling in that vein. Worst dart setup ever, but other than that,
also, who can't hit a board from 4 feet?
You're being generous at 4 feet.
Oh, I'm talking about where their feet were. I'm not counting the 3.5 feet they were reaching.
Russ thinks Rhea wins. I see where you're going with that, and I'd be okay with it, but I have to stand by my prediction. Main event of night one. Tag team match. The Rock and Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. If the heels win, the main event of night 2 becomes Bloodline Rules. Anything goes. If the faces win, it is a one-on-one match with the Bloodline banned from ringside. Does anybody think the faces win this?
I was going to say, is this not the wrestling version of Chekhov's gun? We tease the Bloodline Rules. We have to have the Bloodline Rules. But there was an interesting and let's just say degeneracy kicked in. Somebody asked me if they really bet on wrestling in the UK. And I had to clarify, yes, they do. One of the prop bets that a fellow degenerate friend sent to me, who happened to be over in Scotland, over under 0.5 spears hit on Dwayne Johnson inadvertently or on purpose.
Over.
I think it's under. I just don't see it happening.
Now, but are you saying just for night 1 or overall before Sunday night at 11 Eastern?
It was for during the match.
Oh, okay.
As part of the match.
Because I think that happens Sunday night.
Okay. What about you, Don? Do you think inadvertent or intentional spear happens?
It could be, but still in the end, I do not see the faces winning this at all. They have to make a bloodline.
So you're saying in the end, it doesn't even matter?
Yeah, he could get speared, which makes it interesting the next night during the bloodline, but still they'll win somehow.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Mania Night 2 or WrestleMania Sunday, depending on who you are.
Mm-hmm.
LA Knight versus AJ Styles. I'm here for LA Knight's entrance. That's what I'm here for. Because he wins this match. I mean, this is continuing.
I don't see any of us disagreeing with that.
No.
But I feel like this is also one of those ones they've kind of hard booked themselves into a corner. LA Knight needs to win. AJ Styles still the greatest in-ring competitor, even if he loses. I mean, it's just what happens.
I hope that they're 24/7 if they're still doing that. Is LA Knight for WrestleMania? I want them follow because this is his first official Mania. This is the thing that anybody works towards. But for that guy, I want them following him around all weekend as he takes all of this in.
You know, I feel like you could do an entire season of that with different stories to this, whether it be Cody, whether it be LA Knight, whether it be Sammy, whether it be the tag titles of if what I said actually happens. Like you could follow, and that's what really, I don't think that there's any big surprises to happen at Mania, but there's a lot of intrigue regardless. Enjoying the journey, even if we know the destination concepts.
My thing on this is this feels like one of those filler matches. Again, we have to put something here. I didn't really get much into the build of this one. I'm like, don't get me wrong. AJ, awesome throughout the years. LA, he's building. These are two top competitors. But this match and how they're just kind of, we're kind of putting this one together in the end. That's how I feel about it. This is going to be one of those, I might take get something to eat real fast during this one.
I kind of actually agree with you on this because until there was the moment last week where LA Knight was in a very good disguise, it had just been passing in the back. You know, it didn't feel important enough to be in the ring, and I think it hurt. It was not doing well for that.
6-man tag team Philadelphia street fight. And the Wikipedia did list them as the Pride.
Allegedly, internally, it is still listed as the Pride. And in the leaked match card order, it was listed as the Pride.
Versus the Final Testament. I don't like that name. It's
too clunky.
Well, yes, I agree. This will be fun to watch. I see the Final Testament going over because using the same logic as Rhea Becky or as LA Knight AJ Styles, they need to win more.
I see where you're coming from with that, but I think the booking will tell that story a little bit differently because I actually have the Pride winning with the assist of their newest member, Carmelo Hayes.
Okay. Fair enough.
And then that way you have TFT, because it's just easier to say that, talking about how they needed somebody, so they are going to bring in somebody, and maybe they don't even know who it's going to be. But I could kind of see Shawn Spears being the good old hand in that group too.
Don?
I see the Pride win this one.
All right. United States Championship on the line in a triple threat match. Logan Paul versus Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens.
I want to say something real quick on this, though. Tell me this isn't one of those matches where it could be so wildly entertaining and it could wind up LT versus Bam Bam. I got nothing with this. It could go either way. Now, with Orton and Owens involved, I doubt it'll go badly, but this feels like a risky match to me.
This belt does not move.
Agreed.
Two, greats, tops, Orton. I mean, what does the U.S. belt on Orton do? He should be going for the main title.
That's a fair point.
Has
he ever had the U.S. title?
I think Orton's transcended the title. I don't know that he needs one at this point.
Let me check.
Shout out to Ricardo giving us a quick thumbs up.
Because the only way I could see Orton really winning this is if this is one of those check boxes where he needs that for the Grand Slam. That's the only way I see this going. And the only way I see it going anywhere but Logan Paul.
Has Orton never held the U.S. title?
That's what I was
looking
just
at
asking. Don's looking it up.
Oh, okay. Because
Okay.
I've never heard them refer to him as a Grand Slam champion. So it's
Yeah,
very
he had
possible.
his title.
What's
has
that?
he? Oh,
He had it. And the IC.
Oh, we knew he had
And tag
he
team.
had the IC early on. So he is a Grand Slam champion.
Yep.
okay.
Money in the Bank, Royal winner. Royal Rumble. Yeah, he's that old. He's a 10th Grand Slam champion.
Okay.
On the current
Thank you,
format.
Don.
And he's also got a elimination chamber victory, does he not?
Yes, he does.
So like he's literally done it all.
Yeah.
And
He's
he's also
done
got
everything.
he's got a War Games win too.
Yep.
So WWE Women's Championship on the line. Io Sky versus Bailey. This belt moves.
Yeah, I don't see a world where Bailey does not get her moment at Mania here.
Mention of Bailey.
But here's my question. Do we get her coming out in classic hugger style or something new, or do we continue on how she is right now and just focus on the match?
I think go ahead, Don.
I think that this one is not the hugger because she has to take on the people. This is a personal thing, a personal attack. The hugger thing doesn't do it. You know, I think this is going to be a serious moment for her.
But what I'm saying is, do you see her having anything to throw back to that? Maybe not the full Bailey, I'm a hugger character, but anything that
The wacky wobblers.
Now, I don't see something like that on this one because this is personal, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I feel. That's just
No.
I feel.
That's exactly why I asked the
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
Thank you, Don.
Because didn't she like, as part of her heel turn, didn't she like grab a knife and cut those things open?
It was an axe. She killed the Bailey buddies on the first episode of SmackDown on Fox.
Okay, there we go. World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre. This belt moves.
Don, you want to go?
I don't see it moving.
If I may.
Please do.
Yeah, Don, you have anything else you wanted to add, or I don't want to.
No, there's
on
something I'm saying for the something down, but no,
I think you're going to wind up. I think we're going to be saying the same thing, Don. So I apologize in advance.
But go ahead.
I think Seth retains, McIntyre snaps, and after getting read the riot act the night before, here comes Damian Priest, and he cashes in and leaves as the champion.
I stand by my prediction.
Oh, I know you stand by your prediction. You are a man of stubbornness.
Don.
No, I think he wins. I think he keeps it because he might be. He's actually the defending champion, and he's top right now. Because Roman defends the title, 5 times a year, if that. So he's the working champion right now, and he's over. So
That's true.
yeah, I'm gonna save my things for something else.
Now,
You'll find out.
could I be convinced that Priest cashes in on McIntyre, thinking they're still aligned? I
Okay.
can be convinced of that, but I stand by my prediction.
Oh yeah.
WWE Undisputed Universal Championship on the line. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes. I'm just gonna say it. This belt moves. It has to at this point. Like it has to. But we said that last year, and what
Yeah.
happened?
Well, if you look at history, what is the term? Every decade Mania has had the big face crowning moment. 10, you had Brett. 20, we don't talk about, or at least they don't talk about.
I actually watched.
But what I'm saying is they don't talk about it, Don.
Yeah,
I
I watched.
You had Guerrero and Benoit. Then 30, you had Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, I watched the Wrestling with Regret recap of 20 today. He went almost 52 minutes on that card.
Wow. But yeah, no, the only way, and I don't like putting this into the ether or into the universe because it's a different era, it's a different regime. But this is the kind of one I could see a prior booker pulling the rug out and giving the finger to anything he did not create. But I don't think that's the case now.
Don, who wins?
I'm gonna say this: Roman loses the title.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I had the book in the checkbook for a year, like you always say, what I would do is either do one of two things. Cody wins and he has it for 12 seconds and Priest cashes in on him to make that I got the belt. He has it for 20 seconds. The dream's gone.
They pull a Josh Alexander with him.
Yeah, and Priest cashes in on him. Or number two is, since it's bloodline rules and people will not see this coming, which would make people freak out, you have the bloodline come in that we know they're going to get involved. You're going to have then, Jay come in, possibly Seth come in to, take back the bloodline to kind of even it out, right? It's going to be a big schmoz. If I want a fantasy book, then you have Balor and that group come in and then start attacking the bloodline, and you have a triple threat. They're going to pull Seth Rollins, where Priest cashes in to make it a triple threat.
That's WrestleMania 31.
Oh,
exactly. Now you
something I don't like.
I'm just saying though, you then have Ben Balor out there, since anything goes. You turn this to a triple threat, and now you have like Priest taking on I'm just saying, just imagine seeing the bloodline versus, that group, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I actually, it made me think of something, because it's not a terrible idea. But what you really have is it becomes a triple threat so that Priest can eat the pin from Cody. And then Roman still has the never got pinned. Never got pinned for it.
Protect the character.
Exactly. But the interesting thing I saw in this one is people getting so crazy with their fantasy booking that you have the bloodline on one side, and that's 4. Seth turns on Cody, gives you 5. And then you have Jay, Kevin, Dustin, and MJF coming out, and there's your 5-on-5 leading all the way to November.
MJF get there?
What's that?
How's MJF even get into the ring?
No idea, but I love the fantasy booking idea, and if we don't say it, somebody will ask.
No, what group? It's my mind's just going crazy. What's the group of Damian Priest and all them?
The Judgment
Day. I just thought, but I could see the Judgment Day then taking on and attacking the bloodline.
Oh yeah,
and then you have a cash in. There's nobody see that coming. You just imagine if you have Cody win, he has it for 20 seconds, cash in, or you have where Roman wins, and then all of a sudden they don't see it coming. Judgment Day comes in, destroys them all, and then he cashes in on Roman.
Let me counter that second point, because in my opinion, if Roman comes out on top, there is no way Priest successfully cashes in on Roman Reigns. I mean, I think it would be amazing. Brian's here. Hey, brother. I think it's an amazing idea. And it would absolutely melt the brain. Like the IWC would implode. I just don't see that being a thing.
No, if I may, I don't dislike the idea of Damian cashing in on a successful bloodline. I'm going to use it as a collective, but I like the idea better of that being the Raw after Mania, where you have the young upstart group attacking the established group, and it's kind of like the old lion, young lion. What's up, Mike? The old lions versus the young lions trying to take over who rules the Serengeti. Shout out, Money.
I didn't want to interrupt you when I saw Mike check in.
No worries.
All right, boys. As the weekend stands, grade it.
I haven't said this in a while. This feels like an A card to me, even by Mania standards.
Don?
I do this every year. For a regular plea, I would give this an A. A plus. For a WrestleMania, though, because I do this every year, I'm going to say, actually, I'm going to give it a B+, but a potential for an A+ for a WrestleMania compared to other ones.
Brian says Dwayne bows out after the scripted win and passes the torch to Roman, just like he did with Cena, and then Dwayne bows out and retires yet again. I think we're going to see Dwayne a little bit because he's more involved on the board of directors, but I don't see him staying active very long. I would agree on that.
Yeah, he's going to be a swim through guy.
Yeah.
Let me ask, do we see Dwayne turning on Roman?
Depends on what your definition of turning on Roman is, because there's a part of me that thinks he stops members of the bloodline and keeps it one-on-one because reasons. But I could also see a situation where it doesn't happen at all.
Well, what I mean is where he does something which is not in bloodline best things for the bloodline.
Let me ask the question differently, Don. Would you say him turning on Roman would be just simply as stopping Solo in the back from going out and getting involved? Or are you talking about actively participating?
Something in the ring where he does something in the ring where he stops Solo from the spike, or
I don't see that at all.
Or he accidentally hits Roman by accident. You know, he gives,
by accident, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't see it being intentional.
Okay.
What was
But
that?
he says, no, I had enough. He could do something like, yeah, you expect me, The Rock, to actually acknowledge you? No, I'm the top dog. You just lost because of me. You in your place now, buddy. I'm the top of this family. You know what I'm saying? And it cost him the title.
The thing we talked about a month ago where I was referring to the difference between tribal chief and high chief.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can see that too. We can say a million things on this one.
That's also true. Especially if it's bloodline rules and there's a billion people coming in. Rob.
Exactly.
My turn.
You're stewing. Go for it.
Brian with inside information. He does work in South Florida. He works in a city in South Florida. He says oh yeah, wow. The mute button's a beautiful thing.
Sorry, I didn't have time.
Roman bought Dwayne's house where he works.
Yeah,
that's that information. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Oh, okay.
That's new information. Last time I heard Dwayne with a house purchases when he bought a new house for his mom or when he bought one for Tamina.
Tamina, yeah.
Tamina is the R&B singer.
Tamina is also my niece.
Great remix of Stranger in My House. Great remix. Love it. He says Roman gets swatted weekly. That's why that dude's one of my best friends. God, I miss you guys. I agree with Don. But I don't know. It's gonna sit at a B+ for me. Because I want to have faith in this show. I really, really do.
I'm just picturing like how high does Don rank it if Cody wins, finishes the story, MJF's music hits, he comes out and kicks him in the crotch. Like for Don, that becomes an A+++++, and he's there until the end of time.
No.
It's a joke, Don. It's a joke, Don. Settle down.
No, that wouldn't improve it for you if MJF showed up.
No, because then he left the company and he's going to the AW. No, if he does,
I respect it.
Wow.
I'm just curious.
I'm surprised by that. I'm not gonna lie.
No, if he's at WrestleMania, it's like, first off, I don't know how it's possible, but it's showing that he wants to go to WWE, which would kill him. Versus the MJF, he could be with AEW. It would disgust me. I'm being honest.
No. I'm just thinking about it, and I'm not saying I disagree, but I see where you're coming from.
I think he returned to Dynasty. That's just me.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of AEW, thank you for that segue, gentlemen.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh, that's all done.
For the first time, we have AEW roster cuts.
And not a peep.
The following people are no longer with All Elite Wrestling. And I'm saving one for last because a statement came out today that I'm a little intrigued by. First person no longer with AEW is one Stu Grayson.
That one surprises me.
Player Dose. I miss the Super Smash Brothers.
So do I.
A Jorah Jal. I did not know who this was, but he was formerly known as Robo.
Well, we also have seen him wrestle in Our Fair Burg.
Oh, have we?
Yes.
Okay.
That tells you how memorable it was.
Real name is Harpreet Singh.
Mhm.
Parker Boudreaux, who for the last 2 weeks has been, no, I'm still with the company. No, oh, okay.
I know.
As far as I know, ...
Anthony Henry, no longer with AEW.
That one's a little sad.
Jose the Assistant, no longer with AEW.
Mm-hmm.
Slim J, no longer with Ring of Honor.
No.
Gravity.
Yeah. Let me know when you get to the hammer. I'm going to have to turn the volume down for what I'm anticipating.
My Dasha, no longer with the company. And Brand and Brent Tate.
Nope, turning the volume down.
Don, do you know who that is?
The Tate? No, not off the top of my head.
That would
You
be,
do. You just don't know the name.
That would be the boys.
Oh, okay. Dalton.
I read something today that said apparently they had no showed a few shows.
Oh. That's surprising.
Let me see if I can Google that real quick.
Yeah, that feels very surprising based on the fact that they've just always been there. And I guess, I mean, there's enough there if you wanted to connect string.
Tony Khan has,
but being treated as props. Go ahead.
Tony Khan says that 2 AEW stars, being them, were recently released for the company due to no showing multiple events. Now they did a funny bit on Ring of Honor where Dalton was auditioning new people to be the boys, and that was kind of
Yes.
that was very humorous.
Going back to the well.
We mentioned him before. Let's talk about Collision in the opening match. We have the Cope Open, and answering the call is a man who's always ready.
I still hate that they don't just call it the Copen.
I agree. I'm like, the Cope Open.
It doesn't flow well.
It does not. But still better than the Final Testament.
Maybe be the Copacabana.
And I loved reading both of their posts after that match.
Mm-hmm.
Cardona and Edge. I did not know, and they both said it, that it was Cardona and Brian Myers that brought the concept of the Edge heads. They were basically on their way out the door, and they saved their own job by pitching being Edge's groupies.
Let's put it this way. There is a very not safe for work explanation of that Cardona has done on his podcast, and it is hilarious.
Trent Beretta turned on Best Friends last night.
That hurts my heart so badly.
I thought they were going to do that when he first came back from injury because they were teasing it back then.
You were harping on that big time, and I'm like, oh, I don't want it. I still don't want it. It's already happened. I know.
But that's all I've got from a wrestling standpoint, gentlemen. Do you have anything that you guys want to talk about?
I alluded to it earlier. I'm intrigued by this speed concept, but the question I have for you guys, to have a definitive winner in 3 minutes, does that not just bury the crap out of whoever loses?
I feel like I appreciate what they're doing with that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch Twitter for a wrestling show.
Yeah, that's the other part. Is that not the worst place for this? Don, what do you think about it?
The speed thing?
Yeah.
If the losing in less than 3 minutes buries the losers.
No, I didn't see AEW last night or on Wednesday.
No, this is WWE, Don.
Okay, what are you talking?
Speed is a WWE program that they air on X Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, and a series of 3-minute rounds, and they will have a championship belt. They just haven't.
It's not 3-minute rounds. The whole match is 3 minutes or less.
You're right.
Okay.
I misspoke there. It's 3-minute matches.
And the first one was Ricochet and Dragon Lee.
Okay.
But
no, I didn't know about it. This is
we mentioned it earlier in the show, but I feel like capping it at 3 minutes, we're going to need to see a lot of draws, or there's a lot of people being like, "Oh, okay, that was quick."
It's like the nth version of the beat the clock challenge.
Yeah. And I still don't like it.
All right, boys, how's your bracket? Because mine's done.
I don't call it a comeback.
Alex currently in second place, only 10 points behind the leader. I am only 20 points ahead of Sean for last place. But, I mean, UConn looks unstoppable.
Unless it's a biplane.
Yeah. And shout out to the women's tournament, Iowa LSU getting almost 13 million viewers the other night. I think it's awesome. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan.
It's an awesome game.
Yes. Let's get into your NBA standings.
Who do you think anybody UConn's going to go all the way? Do you think Purdue has a chance?
I would love to see Purdue win. I would love to see NC State win. UConn's just too dominant.
I have UConn and Purdue in the finals.
And I just love watching these kids succeed and how they feel, especially when it's not. I mean, is there even such a thing as a blue blood anymore in the age of one and done NIL transfer portal? I like it even in the playing field. I love it.
So, Alex, are you UConn or Purdue?
I have UConn beating Purdue in the finals.
Okay.
Everybody that's still in it, Tars number 5, Alex, and Crazy, I can't see all have UConn winning.
Yeah, so me, Dad, and Mike.
Oh, okay. There you go. Going to NBA standings.
Garbage.
Thank you.
I was getting to the banner.
Eastern Conference Atlantic Division. As previously stated, Toronto's on a 15-game skid currently. But they're only 37 games out, having played 76 so far. Making a bold prediction. They ain't making the playoffs. They are 7.5 back on Brooklyn. Brooklyn now 11.5 back on Philadelphia. The Sixers are 4.5 back on New York. Boston's still running away with it. They're 15.5 games up on the Knicks. They have clinched home court throughout. I know people were losing their minds the other day because they lost back-to-back games. Boston doesn't have to do anything. They can cruise right into the playoffs.
And the Knicks are no longer a threat with Julius Randle done for the year.
In the Central Division, the Detroit Pistons, former champs of basketball, they are 34 games out. And again, I love these comparisons. Toronto is 37 games back in their division. Detroit is 34 games back in their division and has won 10 less games. Detroit is 23 games back on the Bulls. The Bulls now 6.5 back on the Pacers. Pacers 3 back on Cleveland. Cleveland now a game and a half back on Milwaukee. None of the teams in this division are on a win streak. In the Southeast Division, the Washington Wizards, they're 30 games back. They've got 2 more wins than Detroit. They are 3.5 back on Charlotte. Charlotte is 18 games back on the Hawks. Atlanta 6.5 back on the Heat. The Heat, although they've won 3 in a row, so has Orlando. So they are still 2.5 games back on the Magic. In the Western Conference Pacific Division, Golden State, when you are 6 games back in the division, and by technical definition, you're really only like 2 games out, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. They're 2 back on the Lakers. The Lakers are a game back. Kings half back Phoenix. Phoenix now 2.5 back on the Clippers. In the Southwest Division, the Spurs 27.5 back. They are 8 games back of Memphis. Memphis now 12.5 back on Houston. The Rockets are 6.5 back on New Orleans, but Fly Pelicans only a half a game back on Dallas, and that's only because they've lost 3 in a row. In the Northwest Division, 3 of these 5 teams have already clinched a playoff spot. Portland, 33 back. It's not them. They are 9 games back of the Jazz. Utah is now 23 games back of Oklahoma City, who's 3rd division. 1 game separates the top 3 seeds in this division, as Oklahoma City is a game back on Denver and Minnesota. All 3 of them have clinched a playoff spot. By the way, Utah's dropped 10 in a row. Playoff situation, if it starts today, above the red line, Boston, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Orlando, New York, Miami now above the red line. In between the lines, Indiana, Philly, Chicago, Atlanta. With the neighborhood, let's just say with 6 games to go, it would take a miracle for Brooklyn to get in, but they're the only ones that have a chance in the Eastern Conference. In the Western Conference, Minnesota, Denver, Oklahoma City, the Clippers, Dallas, and Phoenix. Inside the lines, Pelicans, Kings, Lakers, Golden State. With 6 games to go, nobody. Houston's within 3 of Golden State. But Golden State's on a 5-game heater. So that's it. Let's go to the NHL. Nice. In the Eastern Conference Atlantic Division. Still in last place in this division would be the Montreal Canadiens. Don's mic didn't catch it in time.
I was supplementing just in case.
They are tied with Ottawa, though. They are both 7 points back on the Sabres. The Sabres 5 back on Detroit. Detroit now 9 back on Tampa Bay. Lightning 4 back on Toronto. Toronto 4 back on the Panthers. The Panthers are now 7 points back on Boston. Boston on a 2-game heater. Boston has passed the century mark. Remember last week, we said there could be up to 5 teams in the NHL that will have triple-digit points by the time it's all said and done. There are still 6 games average to go for these teams. So let's count them, kids. Boston has 103 points.
Mm-hmm.
In the other division, Don, which is
Metropolitan.
Thank you. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they're only 64 points out of first place. They're doing okay. They are 14 points back of the Devils. Did you see that bit last night? Devils Rangers.
Oh, the full-out brawl where the coaches almost went over the glass at each other.
2 seconds in, everybody drops the pads, and here we go. The Devils 3 back on your Pittsburgh Penguins, Don. Pittsburgh now 2 back on the Islanders. Islanders are a point back on Washington. Washington's a point back on Philly. Philly is now 18 points back on Carolina for 2nd place in the division, because also Philly's lost 5 in a row. Carolina now 5 back on the Rangers. For those of you playing the home game, Carolina has passed the century mark, which also means so have the Rangers. So you've got 3 teams with 6 games to go over 100 points. In the Western Conference Central Division, the Chicago Blackhawks are still terrible. They're, let's call it 56 points out of first place. But they're still 18 back on Arizona. Arizona is now 14 back on Minnesota. The Wild 3 back on the Blues. St. Louis 6 back on Nashville. Nashville 6 back on Winnipeg. Winnipeg 4 back on Colorado. By the way, the Dallas Stars have won 8 in a row for those of you playing the home game. Now then, Colorado 100 points. Dallas 105. We got 1 division to go here, kids. In the Pacific, the San Jose Sharks 60 points out of first place. But they're only 12 back on Anaheim. The Ducks almost 20 back on Calgary. Calgary's 2 back on Seattle. Seattle 14 back on the Kings. The Kings are 3 back on Vegas. Vegas back now 3 back on Edmonton. Edmonton now 7 back on Vancouver, who has clinched. Dallas, Colorado, and Vancouver have clinched playoff spots. Now, Vancouver, 102 points. That's 5. Now, with 6 games to go, let's just call it 6. Some people have 7, some people have 5. We're going to average it at 6. Here are the teams that still have a chance, but they've got to go on a run. Vegas has 92 points. Edmonton, 95. Winnipeg, 96. Florida, 99. Toronto, 95. So that's what, 4 or 5 more?
Yeah.
That's got to be at least in
That's
the
a
ballpark
lot.
of some kind of record. That many teams with more than 100 points in a season. That's crazy talk. Playoff situation, if we started today in the Eastern Conference. Rangers, Boston, Carolina, Florida, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Philly, and Washington. Teams that could get in, but they're going to need a lot of help. Don, your Pittsburgh Penguins are only 3 points back on Washington right now.
Yeah.
And if there's anybody you'd love to overtake and knock out of the playoffs.
Yes. Detroit's only a point back. Oh, no, Detroit's tied with Washington, but Washington has the tie break, and the Islanders are a point back. In the Western Conference, Dallas, Vancouver, Colorado, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Vegas, Nashville, and the Kings. The only team that has a legitimate shot right now would be St. Louis because they're 5 points back on the Kings. It's almost playoff time, boys.
Yeah.
So
When it gets real good.
are we ready for North America's favorite game show?
Is this our finale of North America's favorite game show?
No, we'll have it next week because that'll be the final one. Because we will have a show next week. I might be tired, but we're going to show it next week. What is the goal differential for the San Jose Sharks?
Terrible.
Don,
25.
what did you say?
Negative 125.
All right. Alex,
I feel like it was higher than that last week. I'll take minus 130.
the San Jose Sharks have played 74 games. Which means they have 8 left. They are 17, 49, and 8.
And based on most of their pattern this year, it would be 148.
They have 42 points currently.
Oh,
They are 10, 22, and 4 at home. They are 7, 27, and 4 on the road. They're 1, 8, and 1 in their last 10. Let me give you a couple of comparisons. The highest goal differential in hockey currently.
on the positive, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
It appears to be your Dallas Stars at a plus 61. The closest team to the San Jose Sharks for the basement is the aforementioned Anaheim Ducks. I'm sorry, no, the Chicago Blackhawks at minus 96. The San Jose Sharks have a goal differential with a week to go. Minus 133.
Oh. I was debating between 135 and 130. I'm glad I went lower.
We're going to have like 6 weeks without North America's favorite game show because we can't really do anything with baseball until June.
Yeah.
I don't like this lull because I love this part of the show. All right, let's do a couple of quick things so we can say we did pop culture this week. ABC has renewed Grey's Anatomy for season 21. I don't
This
know.
was
if
already
my
dead
wife
10 years ago.
is watching it. They've renewed because remember ABC moved or 911 moved to ABC from Fox, and they have renewed it for season 8, and they have renewed Will Trent for season 3.
Never heard a bad thing about it.
AMC.
Watch it. Me and the Fantastic Four Wheel. It's okay.
Okay.
Not my favorite, but it's not bad either.
AMC is doing an Orphan Black prequel spinoff thing. It's called Orphan Black Echoes. It will debut June 23rd. That was announced this week. Never watched Orphan Black, but I've heard good things. Hulu has canceled the Mandy Patinkin Death and Other Details after one season. Seems like that'd be right up my alley. Because it's kind of a Hercule Poirot kind of a thing.
Well, it's also Mandy Patinkin, so
yeah. Great musician, great songwriter. And Netflix has, to the shock of no one, renewed One Piece for season 2.
I believe they got 2 and 3, didn't they? Or am I thinking of something else?
I just saw 2. You're thinking of Last Airbender.
That's right. It's the other one.
Fans of Doom Patrol season 4 and the complete series for that show available on DVD and Blu-ray on Tuesday, as well as the new version of Fantasy Islands complete series, because I think they only got 2 seasons out of that.
Yeah.
We do want to send our best out right at within hours that we missed this, talk about it last week, the passing of the amazing Louis Gossett Jr. So many great films. Friend of the show, Brad Zabel, is a huge Iron Eagle fan. I think they made like 5 or 6 of those things.
Yeah.
So, Officer and a Gentleman. I mean, the guy, Enemy Mine is one of
There it is. I was waiting. I was going to see how long.
I think we talked about this last week, but I found a YouTube channel that just does like an hour of movie trailers of all the same genre, but it's labeled like comedy movies I watched on HBO in the 80s.
Yeah.
I watched the sci-fi one the other day, and they did have the trailer for Your Hunter from the Future starring Reb Brown, who I will be sitting down with on Sunday. And they did have the trailer for Enemy Mine.
Well, the other interesting thing is probably my favorite Lou Gossett movie. I have not seen mentioned once, but maybe it's because I have weird taste, but Diggstown.
Good.
I love Diggstown.
Good flick. Boxing flick.
If I may, years ago in college, and this is right after he came out with the movie Toy Soldiers.
Great film. I love that film.
Yeah. He came into the restaurant I worked at, the Rex, and we had no idea he came in, sat at the bar, had some chicken wings. It was a slow night, with another guy. And, I took the stuff up, and it's like, oh my God, the guy there. And I served it. And he talked to me for about 10 minutes. Didn't have to.
Nice
Guy. And another guy I worked with, Jimmy Williamson. I love Toy Soldiers and all that, but very nice, very personable. He really appreciated that. He goes, well, I appreciate you. He kind of had that thing like, when I hear people say stuff like that, it means I'm doing my job, and it makes me happy that I make you guys happy. And he goes, I just started on this, and give him a little bit backstory, but very nice, very approachable, very down-to-earth person versus I'm an Oscar winner. Who are you talking? I want an Oscar. The total opposite of that. Class act. And I saw that. It's just like that one hit me kind of like when Meatloaf died. It's just one of my favorite people passed. One of those icons. So
our best to his family, friends, and fans, of course, of which the latter of the three of us are, because man, legend. Blumhouse with a very interesting announcement. I really hope I didn't get this on Monday, because that would make me sad if this was an April Fool's joke. I have often said that there is only one Stephen King property. Let me make sure before I do this that I'm not completely screwing this up.
Oh, see, I was prepping to go in real time.
Is it actually happening? Yes. I am seeing that this is not an April Fool's joke. The closest I have ever seen a Stephen King book put up on screen, and it's probably my favorite Stephen King book that I read, especially when I was a kid, was Christine.
Mm-hmm.
Blumhouse is remaking it.
Ooh, that could be fun.
And you put those two things together, I can't say I'm not here for it.
Even as your rule with horror.
Well, Christine wasn't like a terror book.
It
very much. Well, it reminded me very much of and because she's that era, it was like the kind of monster movie you'd see in the 50s. It's a killer
That's a good way to
car.
put it.
Like, and they even got the ending right in the movie, which I appreciated. And I really loved the book because the beginning of each chapter there were song lyrics. But yeah, so Blumhouse looking to remake it. Directed by Brian Fuller, who created the Hannibal TV series.
Nice.
Look at this cast. Micah Abbey, Jacob Tremblay, McKenna Grace, Brian Tyree Henry, Allison Williams, and Brendan Gleeson. Let's go.
That is ridiculously stacked.
I am fully here for this. Oh, let's go. All right, cool. Movie new releases and places you get movie new releases this week. Boys, get yourself to a theater this weekend, because Monkey Man is upon us. My review is currently available at www.theclubhousepodcast.com.
That's our website.
This movie rules. Now, last week I said there was a piece on Godzilla Kong that Don and I were diametrically opposed on.
Mhm.
I will expand upon that now because you've had a week to read the reviews. Don was really into the music for that film. I thought the needle drops were unnecessary. There are a couple of remixes on this score that made me go, oh. And the only thing I will say is there is a scene. And now, Dev Patel's character doesn't have a name. We never know what his name is.
Now, we want to clarify, you're talking about Monkey Man now, right?
Correct.
Okay. Because you led into Godzilla Kong, and then
I switched gears without switching gears. He gets into an elevator, and the song that plays on the elevator, and Alex, if you guys want to know off air, I'll tell you.
Okay.
I giggled so loud. And other people laughed, but I don't think they knew what they were laughing at. It was just such a tonal shift. All of a sudden, they're in an elevator and there's elevator music playing. This movie is 2 hours and 1 minute. It is. I don't want to give away everything that's in my review, but go check out my review. This movie is amazing. And it works. Oh, it just works. Also this week, a film that Don and I have both reviewed, Wicked Little Letters. This is a fun film. I think Don will agree with me when I say if profanity offends you, go nowhere near this film, because that's basically what it's about. Olivia Colman, I could watch her read the phone book because she's amazing in everything she does. This is a really good film.
This would be so hard for me to show at the church social for the teens for movie night.
No, it's real easy to not show it, actually.
Yeah.
Also this week, thank the studio for pushing this back a week. The first Omen hits theaters this week. They originally were going to release this Easter weekend, and I was like, what are we doing, kids?
Oh, that would have been perfect.
I was like, what are we doing? Also, and I should have pulled this up. I apologize, gentlemen. What am I doing? Okay, we're waiting for IMDb to come available for us. We'll just skip those two and move on.
Well, there's an interesting note in the movies from last week that I was curious if you guys saw.
Go ahead.
Did you see how much money Godzilla Kong made globally in its first weekend?
I don't remember offhand, but I remember going, oh.
$200 million in week one for probably a terrible, like one of the worst movies I've ever enjoyed.
100 million of that was in Japan.
I'm betting it was more than that, and on that side, done. It was not a necessary comment.
Because in Japan,
you're not making it better.
Movies on DVD and Blu-ray this week. So Frankenstein gets its release this week. Another great film. If you haven't seen it, it is worth a watch. Night Swim, that I believe Don saw and did not enjoy, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
The holiday now classic ? It's a Wonderful Knife happens this week. The Now being franchised, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey available this coming week. And the Criterion Collection does the 70s film Picnic at Hanging Rock. So you got that going for you, which is nice. Anything else we need to talk about, boys?
I think we got it.
So let's do the plugs. Make sure you visit our website, the aforementioned www.theclubhousepodcast.com. Find out everything you need to know and some stuff you don't. Follow us on your social media, Twitter and TikTok, our Clubhouse show. Everything else is the Clubhouse Podcast. All 3 words in that order, or you will wind up somewhere else. Hit that QR code in the upper left corner and you get all the cool stuff. You can follow me on all your social medias if you like. Everything is Yes That Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I'm Vexploit on social media, and if you want to have anything from the show, like some merchandise, you can go to ProWrestlingTees.com and search for the Cheap Popcast. A lot of different shirt options, a lot of different color options within. If you happen to be an artist and want to either adjust or contribute in any way, shape, or form, you can reach out to me at alex@theclubhousepodcast.com.
Get those awesome shirts that even make me look too good. ProWrestlingTees.com/Cheap Podcast and Twitter. I'm Eddie YGBNUUU. If you want this madness, your place, email me, Don'sClubhousePodcast.com.
Keep your eye on our social media because Don's got some things cooking. You never know where we might show up at a live remote. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Somebody go pound sand. I am Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. Charlotte Marshall's on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that. Our normal show every Thursday night. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific is your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, and professional wrestling. And we'll probably do it in reverse order next week because we got to talk about what happens at Mania. It's Mania. It's Wrestling New Year's Eve weekend. Very excited. So until next time, for Don, for Alex, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. And Brittany Palmer, man, she's just living her best life.